quick question. I actually can't see you at all. When you get here, if you drove a car, I want you to raise your hand. If you drive a car, raise your hand. Okay. All right, kind of deal. So the second question is a tricky one. So I want you to be as honest as you can. So if you think you are a better driver than the average, raise your hand again. All right, the same crowd. Good. So it turns out you're not alone. 90% of those drivers think they are above average. So the question is, are we really as good as we think? I have some data to talk about this issue. So, truth being told, 2 million people are killed every year in car accidents around the world. And 90% of those mistakes were human error. Human error like improper handling, like distraction, like alcohol. So, it turns out that we are not as good as we think. Many people would agree that in 50 years, well, hopefully in 50 years, you guys will be alive. I'm sure you will be. In 50 years, when we look back to history, we'll be amazed that once upon a time, we even considered this possibility of putting humans behind the wheels. Why that? Well, let's face it. Driving a car might sound easy, but it's actually not. That's how we lost 2 million people to our stupid mistakes. And us humans, we are very poor choices to operate such a massive machine. If you think about it, we have very limited sensing ability to sense the car we're driving and also to sense the environment around us. That's how we constantly miss the blind spot. And also, as humans, we are easily tired and distracted. And that's not enough. As we are driving, we try to do all kinds of crazy things. We try to make phone calls, we try to text people, we try to eat burgers, and every now and then we try to browse our WeChat moments, and you've been there. So, putting such a huge responsibility onto such reliable hands is as crazy as it sounds. It's like giving a teenager the nuclear weapon launch code. And that's how stupid we have been. So we know this stupid thing has to stop. Well, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised if I told you there's a new technology called self-driving cars. The idea that the computer, or say a machine, can use sensors to recognize roads and obstacles and also pedestrians and make smart decisions, like Google and Uber and Tesla, etc. Well, let's take Google as an example. Since 2009, Google has covered probably more than 2 million miles of test drives on these Google cars. And they have very good plans to take them to the market. All the players are rushing into the space because everyone believes this will be the next big thing. So in theory, our cars, they don't drink and drive, they don't fall asleep, and they don't have to WeChat anybody. So that might be the ultimate solution. But in practice, did that work out? Well, most of the cars, they're in the development phase, so we don't have data for it. But there's one exception. Tesla. Since 2015, Tesla Motor has deployed its autopilot system to its tens of thousands of cars. This autopilot function is a magic function. It allows you to cruise on the highway while the car will take over and you can do anything you want. So it's promising, right? Not so much. If you look at all the accidents it has, many people have been already killed. So today I wanted to share a few of those examples of how Tesla failed, or maybe I should say how the machine failed to fulfill its function. The first accident, this time the car was trying to cruise on the highway. So actually the driver was reportedly playing video games while he was driving. And then there was a white top in front of the car. which of course the driver didn't see. So the white truck was trying to make a turn. Well, the car failed to see it because it's a white truck blended in the white background of the sky. So this guy was killed. Very tragic. Second, actually there's a video. This is in China. The car was trying to cruise, staying in the lane, but you know, this is China. So all of a sudden, this is a low speed condition, so no one was killed. But you see, this time, again, with this camera, it failed to understand what's going on. It's an American car in China, and this is what happens. So apparently, this beautiful picture Tesla has painted for us, or maybe I should say, the artificial intelligence community has painted for us, did not come to a good realization. So we ask this question, what's missing? We thought our cars are supposed to be fast and reliable, but in the end, they couldn't even handle such simple, maybe stupid situations. But in order to explain those very difficult challenges, first we need to talk about the design philosophy Tesla has on its autopilot system. Tesla's co-founder and CEO Elon Musk has this interesting belief. He believes that, we drive cars okay. We humans require no more than our eyes to drive the system. So similarly, our cars should require no more than cameras to do the same thing. And that's what they have been doing. Of course we know they have failed miserably. So again, what's missing? What's missing in this equation is the fact that our level of intelligence, the artificial intelligence, is still way worse than our intelligence. Or let's say, they're not as smart as humans. So in order for them to do the same thing, it will be awfully difficult. So now the question we should be asking, or maybe the whole society should reconsider, is this. Yes, we want our machines to achieve the same level of functionality as humans, but do we have to limit them to the same sensors that we have? Or in other words, yes, we want our machines to do the same thing as we do, but do we have to insist that they do it the same way as we did it? Well, to answer this very philosophical and debatable question, one of the things we can do is look back at history. If you just look at history, remember all those generations of technologies which have impacted our lives, cars, airplanes, cell phones. They all have some unique features that we humans don't have, and that's how they were able to help us. And even if you took further steps, if you think about all those cartoon characters, Terminator has this unique laser eye that we don't have. And if you think about Iron Man, has this flashy flying suit that we don't have. So my conclusion is pretty simple. We know the machines should do the same thing as humans, but we don't have to limit ourselves. We want our machines to have as powerful as they can. And then they can do a lot of things beyond humans' ability. That's why I said seeing is not believing, because now seeing is the definition of human, but for machines, they have to see much more than we do, and they have to sense much more than we do. So if you all accept this conclusion, let's go back and to see what we're doing with our self-driving cars. This is the state of the state-of-the-art self-driving cars. It's fully loaded with different types of sensors to do exactly that. This is really a technology powerhouse. Those different colors, they represent different types of sensors. The one you might be familiar with is the yellow one. It's the camera. It gives you 360 image of what's around you. But in this time, camera is not good enough, because cameras rely on ambient light. So when we're driving at night, when the light is low, or when you're driving against the sun, where you basically couldn't see anything, if it was for Tesla,
this will fail. But luckily, it has other sensors, like the one in blue, it's electromagnetic sensor, it's called radar. And also you have something in the green, it's called LiDAR, it's a laser sensor. Those sensors, they don't rely on any light, existing light. They can have their own light source and they will function no matter how the light condition changes. So that's how we're able to expand our machine's ability beyond human to do the same job we want them to do. So let's take a closer look at how it works. Imagine you're the car in the back, and then you have this laser sensor, and this light goes to the car in front, and it's bounced back. And we can very precisely measure the time this light travels, and then we can calculate how far it has come. Our company has been working on this technology for many years, ever since we were founded in Silicon Valley, because we believe, look, for machines to be able to see those things, we have to have a special type of sensors for machines only. And this is a machine sensor. It's machine's eyes. And if you just look at how it works again from a different angle, this time this laser is scanning its environment and it will know the profile of the car in front of it. If we stop here, look at this picture, you might think, oh, this is not that much better than my camera, or actually much worse, right? You'd be wrong. Because this time, this picture, it's in 3 dimensions. My computer can clearly know what's around us by knowing the 3D position of it. This is much more powerful than the camera. So if you look at how a camera works compared to how laser works, what you see is that when you use a camera, when you want to know the distance, you basically guess. You guess how big it's supposed to be and how big it has become. And then you do your best. This is a really hard thing to do, and cars make mistakes all the time. But for lasers, you just make the light go back and forth. And this is like measuring distance with a measuring tape. And using a measuring tape is a much better way to do it. So, on the right is what a car is supposed to do in different situations. And you can see that LiDAR is much better compared to radar at a lot of occasions. And the camera couldn't detect distance, and radar couldn't do pedestrians and details. So with all these great sensors combined, you get a clue of how the computer or say the machine can go beyond human vision. Again, this time, seeing with the camera is far from enough. We want our machines to have sensing ability beyond us. And that's how we succeed. How successful are we? If you look at Google's data, for every billion miles driven, in the US, the average is about 2,000 injuries. And this time, Google has already brought that down to about 900. You might think, okay, so what? 900 is not as good as it sounds. But remember, this is machine. The one unique thing about machine is that it will only get better. It's not like us. Like, I'm not a better driver than my dad, and I will not be better in 20 years. But for machines, as more and more data becomes available and more advanced technology becomes available, we know our machines will get better and better. And you shouldn't be surprised if you realize that in maybe 5 years, this number of 900 becomes 20. And that's what we're going after. So we know that with the state of the sensors, we make our machines see beyond humans' eyes. And then we know with the help of those sensors, we can really improve our machines to the point that it's actually a much better solution than human. Are we happy? Maybe. But before you say this is the holy grail of this whole industry, I want to share one more example. And this one might make you think twice. So remember, when I said 90% of those mistakes were made by human error. So if you consider this situation, for every death, every people killed in accidents by human driving scenario, let's say we replaced this whole system with self-driving cars. It's not going to be perfect. There'll still be accidents, right? Let's say we brought it down from 100 to 20. Raise your hand if you think this is a great system. Right? I'm more interested in those who didn't raise your hand. What's your reason? Okay, so 100 to 20, great, right? Don't say that yet. Let me give you a little more information about those 100 people and about the 20 people. So remember I said 93% of them were caused by human error. That means that those green ones, they were caused by our mistakes. But the 7%, those were not caused by us. Maybe a thunderstrike or something else that couldn't be avoided. So the 7% blue is unavoidable. Naturally, self-driving cars are not going to solve this blue problem, so it will stay in the 20. But then you see there is another 13% left out. So it's not human error, it's not unavoidable. What is that? Anyone? Right. Machine error. That's what happens is that when you replace an old technology with this new one, the new thing is not going to be perfect. We know our machines will also make mistakes. So now, if you just look at this picture again, rethink this whole scheme, you realize that, oh, maybe there is a problem. That those 13 people, 13 innocent people who would have survived were killed by our accident. Those type of mistakes, example, a car might just run onto the curb and kill a lot of innocent people in the crowd, those type of mistakes that didn't exist before, now they have to die. Are we going to be okay with this? This is not my conclusion. This is my question. I don't know. This is a question as a society we have to really think through and be okay with it. And that's the hard part. So, to sum up, for our machines to do what we are doing, there are two major challenges. The first challenge is the most important one, it's the technology. We wanted to make sure that our machines have the ability to see beyond human so that it's fully equipped with the best technology, and that way it can do an awesome job than human. But that's not enough. On the other hand, there's a humanity issue. We have to make sure our systems are so good that it wouldn't make any mistakes to make us uncomfortable. And that is a more challenging thing. But if we successfully address those issues, the days when we can sit in the car and drink beer and eat burger and reply your WeChat while our cars to take us forward wouldn't be so far away. Thank you.